So let's get into my preseason NFL standings predictions. Let's go with the AFC East. For the first team, the top team, I got the Buffalo Bills. Hands down, they're the best team in this division. Josh Allen is a top 3 to top 5 quarterback. Sean McDermott's back there. He re-signed to a big deal, so he'll be there until I think 2027. Your offensive line has some problems. Your running game also has some problems. Those are your big, whoopses on offense. So there's a little bit there. Your defense is still great. You got Von Miller back. You brought back your defensive backs, Poyer and Hyde. So you're good on defense. Your offensive line and your running backs are a little bit iffy, but with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, I don't see a lot of problems there. The Jets, you got Aaron Rodgers. You should be better. You should be better. Because guess what? You almost made the playoffs with Zach Wilson, Mike White, and Joe Flacco as your starting quarterbacks. And I think you also had Chris Streveler in there for one of those games, which is quite interesting. So my guess is you're going to be better. You'll probably make the playoffs. And then Aaron Rodgers will most likely do what Aaron Rodgers does in the playoffs and choke away your game. That could be fair. The Dolphins, I don't know if I expect Tua to be healthy all 17 games, but I do think they'll be better than the Patriots. They upgraded on defense. You got Jalen Ramsey, which is huge. You still have Jalen Waddle. You have Tyreek Hill, and you have Tua back from his concussions. So you should be a better team. Your offensive line could be better this year. You lost Gesicki, who you didn't really use all that well. He's now in the Patriots. So the Dolphins should be better than the Patriots. They should be slightly about the Jets level or slightly below. So that's where I am. And then the Patriots, arguably the slowest offense, but you do have a new OC in Bill O'Brien. Promising things are coming out of minicamp with Mac Jones in this offense. You only have Ramondre Stevenson as a definite running back right now. I don't think Pierre Strong Jr. or Kevin Harris? Yeah, Kevin Harris, I don't think he's going to be your main running back 2 or whatever. Dalvin Cook's on the market. Zeke's on the market. You have options that you could potentially get, and also you could be getting D-Hop. Your defense, I have no worries with the defense because that's what Bill Belichick drafts. He knows defense. He's the best defensive coach in NFL history, so I have no problem with the defense. The defense was like a top 10 defense last year. I got no problems with that, and Christian Gonzalez seems to be tearing up in minicamp, so we'll see. No problems, but the Patriots do come in last because the AFC East is arguably now the strongest division in football with the amount of talent that's coming in to the AFC East.
In last place, if they had DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook, what if they pick up both of them? You still think they're going to be last place?
I think offensive line and speed is going to be their problem. DeAndre Hopkins is 31 years old. We don't know if he could still get that juice he still has. And once your offensive line is a bunch of mishmash of random people. Trent Brown is not as good as he used to be. You're swapping left and right tackles. The left and right tackles are brand new. They're like tier 2 and tier 3 guys. Your center, David Andrews, is really your own primary piece that you have. That's a consistent piece. I don't trust Cole Strange. He had an on and off year last year. He didn't have a terrible year, but he didn't have all that great of a year. Onwenu, I don't know if I trust him fully at the right guard, so I'm not too sure. I don't feel great about this offensive line. So that's the big problem I have.
I think the Patriots will get the 3 spot there and make the playoffs, and the Dolphins will be in 4th place.
Interesting. All right, let's go for the AFC North. I don't think this is as controversial as people think for this reason. The Bengals are the better team than the Ravens. The Bengals have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Joe Mixon is still your running back. Your offensive line still needs work, but it could be getting better throughout the year, throughout the seasons. Your defense has a little bit of an issue. I'm not sure if I entirely trust the defense, but you still have Trey Hendrickson. You still have a pretty good team overall, and you got Joe Burrow throwing your wide receivers and tight ends the ball. He's probably, in my mind, the number 2 best quarterback in the league. That's me personally. You can have whatever you want. Orlando Brown Jr. was a tremendous pickup on your offensive line, but your guards, I still have a little bit of problem with Alex Kappa and Ted Karras, your center. Those weren't really tremendous pieces, at least when you got them, they were supposed to be good pieces. They didn't exactly perform as they did the prior seasons, but your defensive line is good. Your corners, I got a problem with. They're not exactly lockdown corners, so going up against the Chiefs, maybe with Mahomes and the Andy Reid scheme could be a little bit difficult, but I still put the Bengals above the number 2 team in the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens. Guess what? Lamar got weapons. This is what people have been asking for. Get Lamar some weapons. He needs receivers. So you got him a couple receivers. You drafted one. You drafted Zay Flowers, and you also got him OBJ. OBJ could have won Super Bowl MVP a couple seasons ago, so I don't want to hear how he's washed. We'll see how he looks. He did come off an ACL injury, but it seems like he's doing fine. He posted workout videos before he got signed. Zay Flowers is a speed receiver, which is going to be good for those haters that say that the Ravens don't have speed. You also are getting your receivers back. Rashad Bateman and Duvernay are both coming back. Your offensive line has been, I think, since Lamar got drafted by the Ravens, they've been the number 4 on average offensive line. So offensive line has never been the issue for Lamar. Your defense... What?
Tight end. They have a very good
Mark
tight
Andrews,
end.
yeah, absolutely. Mark Andrews is a tremendous tight end for them. He's top 3 in the league. Your defense, I have faith in the defense. Not a lot of people do. It definitely had its moments where it sucked, especially second half of the year. It had its problems. But I think, with Lamar being the Lamar people are telling me he's a great thrower. I know he's a tremendous athlete, but, I think he should be able to do enough damage for the rest of the teams in the NFL. This is where people may disagree with me. The Pittsburgh, I know we won't, but the Steelers over the Cleveland Browns, or as I call them, the Cleveland Clowns. By the way, that is a new logo that they have. I think it's a pretty cool logo. The Steelers, Kenny Pickett, he started off not too hot. He had like 3 interceptions in his first game. He didn't look too good. But as he progressed throughout the season, he looked even better and better and better. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. I thought he would have one last year. Turned out to not be the case because they got a win late in the year. So it is what it is, but Kenny Pickett and the Steelers defense is only going to get better with TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, this team is tremendous. The Cleveland Browns, I don't know what I'm going to get for Deshaun Watson. He seems like he had a lot of rust last year. I don't know if that'll carry over into this season, but you do have Amari Cooper. You still got Nick Chubb. You got rid of Kareem Hunt, who's also a free agent running back, I should have mentioned. So I don't know exactly what this Cleveland Browns team would look like. Your offensive line has always been top 3 for the past 5 seasons, which is incredible. Your defense, you still got Myles Garrett. You still have a pretty good defensive 7. I don't know, but I just don't think Deshaun Watson is the guy you're spending $230 million fully guaranteed on. That's my own opinion, but I do have the Cleveland Browns at the number 4 spot in the AFC North.
That's a new logo.
That's a new logo. Yeah, it's a dog. It's a dog. DAWG.
Yeah, dog pound.
That's how they roll now. All right, let's go to the AFC South. So this one, honestly, you could take a look at the AFC South and be like, the 2 South divisions, AFC and NFC, could be the worst divisions in football.
Yeah.
Because all you have is the Jaguars, and this season you have the Saints. Those are the only 2 main teams, because I think the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, now you're adding Calvin Ridley to a wide receiver core that could have beaten Patrick Mahomes last season if you actually capitalized on the 2 opportunities you were given. The Jaguars maybe could have been in the Super Bowl last year. We don't know. But as is, you still have Christian Kirk. Again, you still have Travis Etienne. You have Trevor Lawrence. Now you have Calvin Ridley. This team looks good, and your defense was surprisingly efficient. You also have a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson. The Jaguars should easily take the AFC South and could honestly be a top 1 or 2 seed, honestly, if they perform as they look on paper. So we'll see. The Titans. You have no real threat at wide receiver. Your tight ends aren't really that good. Your offensive line, you drafted an offensive lineman. I'm not sure exactly what you're going to do there. Your defense isn't all that great. The Titans are just a bad team. But in the AFC South, where you're going up against teams like the Colts and the Texans who have their own problems, you could sort of eke out maybe 8 or 9 wins and still get the number 2 spot in the AFC South.
You still have Derrick Henry.
You'd still have Derrick Henry as well, but he's been dealing with injuries as of late, so we're not exactly sure what kind of Derrick Henry we're getting, and he'll get gassed throughout the year because I don't think Ryan Tannehill throwing to the wide receiver core that the Titans have will be that efficient, so you'll rely on Derrick Henry a lot more.
Maybe Levis will be the quarterback.
I don't know about that. Will Levis don't look too hot, even though I had a lot of faith in him. But yeah, I don't think Ryan Tannehill throwing to Treylon Burks and Nick Westbrook, I can't even pronounce that second part of his last name. I don't think throwing to him consistently will bring you all that amount of success. So I think they're an 8 or 9 win team. I don't think they're all that hot. So, but once again, you're going up against you play the Texans and Colts twice a piece. So I don't exactly think you'll be able to drop that far down. But let's go to the number 3 spot, the Texans. CJ Stroud. I think this team is going to get surprisingly decent. They're not going to be good. They're going to be surprisingly decent. They win about 6-7 games. Maybe if they get lucky, then they win 8. Maybe. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying maybe.
I think they'll be very lucky to win 8 games.
So I'm saying they go 7-10 with CJ Stroud. The team made a lot of moves in the offseason. I'm not saying they won the offseason because there's a lot of teams that made bigger, better moves, but you got Dalton Schultz, who was a extremely efficient part of the Cowboys offense last season. You got Robert Woods as your wide receiver 1. You got Noah Brown, former Cowboys receiver, as your wide receiver 2. Amari Rodgers, who had catching problems, fumble problems with the Packers last year. He's there. Your rookie running back, now your second-year running back, Dameon Pierce, he'll be there. You got Devin Singletary from the Bills. You were making moves, and you have CJ Stroud as your starting quarterback. I thought he was arguably the best quarterback in this past year's draft. So, once again, you also signed, you got Shaq Mason from the Buccaneers, and you signed Laramie Tunsil to the biggest offensive lineman
deal.
Then they
drafted the rookie defensive guy, too, right?
Yeah, you got also Will Anderson as well.
Will Anderson, yeah.
So, and you also got Shaquille Griffin, who's a pretty good defensive back as well. So this team could, on paper, it looks pretty good. It can win, 7,
they
maybe
got
8 games.
A rookie head coach.
They do, but I think D'Amico Ryans will get the job done. The defense was a huge part. I think Davis Mills could have been a little bit, I'm not saying he's going to be tremendous, but he could have been a little bit better with a better defense. Maybe one or two more games with a better defense. D'Amico Ryans, who's a former Houston Texan, he'll come in. I think he'll shape up the defense pretty well. I say the Texans win 7 games. And the Colts. The Colts, their offensive line was an entire mess last year. They were moving pieces in and out. I think they had almost the most offensive lineman moves in NFL history. So I was shocked because they have arguably the best guard in the game in Quentin Nelson. You also had Matt Ryan, who was supposed to be the upgrade over Carson Wentz, who honestly didn't have that bad of a year. Jonathan Taylor was dealing with injuries. He'll be back. Michael Pittman, who I still love as a receiver, he'll be down to play. You drafted Josh Downs. So your team looks pretty good, at least wide receiver-wise. But as of right now, which is interesting that I'm looking at this, ESPN has Gardner Minshew above Anthony Richardson on the depth chart, which I find very, very fascinating. Because if you're going to start Gardner Minshew, I feel actually a little worse about this standing pick, because I think Gardner Minshew could win 1 or 2 more games than Anthony Richardson can. So I think the Colts, honestly, are a 5-win team, 5-6-win team. I don't think they're all that great. Truthfully, I don't think they're all that great. Your defense has been pretty good, but you did lose Stephon Gilmore, who I think is actually a pretty big loss for you, because you actually could have lost to Denver last year if it wasn't for Stephon Gilmore interception. You still got DeForest Buckner, you got Shaq Leonard, you got Zaire Franklin, I think is a pretty good slot linebacker. So you know what? I'm taking a look at this team here. It's a 5-6-win team. I don't think it's all that good personally. Let's move on to the AFC West. This is going to be a breeze. The Raiders are going to not be all that great. I love Jimmy G. I don't think he can get it done, especially with a bad offensive line and the defense that was surprisingly terrible. You need defensive backs. Right now, it's not looking too good for your team. Jimmy G may not even be healthy enough to play at the start of week 1. He may not even be on the team at the start of week 1. But I was shocked that you didn't really even draft a top-tier cornerback. I was blown away by it. Instead, you decided to get stuff that you didn't really need. Basically, this team is turning into, partially a Patriots team. You got Jacoby Myers, you got Brian Hoyer, you brought in Jimmy Garoppolo. Your offensive line still needs work. You got Austin Hooper, Brandon Bolden as well.
Tom Brady's a part owner.
Tom Brady is a part owner. You still have Hunter Renfrow. You lost Darren Waller. You replaced him with Austin Hooper. Michael Mayer, I think, is a good draft pick for the Raiders. I do think that's a good pick. He probably has the most skill as a rookie tight end in this past year's draft. You got O.J. Howard, who wasn't too great on the Bucs. But you know what? I still think this team, I think in my rough mock, I have him winning 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't have a lot of faith in this team. I could be wrong. Denver, you won 3-4 games last season. You probably should be able to double the amount of wins you had.
That would be 6.
So I don't have a tremendous faith, and I do think Russell Wilson is on a steep decline. You won 5 games last season, so you
don't
could
think Peyton can resurrect his career.
I don't think resurrection. I mean, truthfully, I don't see Russell Wilson being all that hot. He should be better. I don't think he'll be tremendous. I don't think he'll be back in his Super Bowl form. So I think, honestly, this is the way it's going to look. Chargers, I think they're going to be a playoff team again. The Chiefs, I don't need to say anything about it. Mahomes, Andy Reid, that team, I don't even need to speak of that. They're the number 1 team. They'll probably be the number 1 seed overall. The Chargers, I don't love that they still have Brandon Staley. I don't love that. but they still do. They drafted a wide receiver that's escaping me right now. I'll try to find it quickly, but
he was a good pickup.
It was a good pick. I'll try to get it fast. Who they got as a wide receiver? Quentin Johnston, who a lot of people had actually as the best receiver in this draft. He was like ranked higher than like Jordan. He was ranked higher than like Jordan Addison and JSN. You still have Mike Williams. You got Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler. He doesn't want to be there. So I'm not too sure exactly what's going to happen with that situation. Rashawn Slater's coming back. Your defense on paper was supposed to be really good and it didn't perform. You got Derwin James. You're going to bring back J.C. Jackson. You got Joey Bosa. You have Eric Kendricks, who's a pretty good linebacker. You still have Khalil Mack. You have Asante Samuel Jr.
Kyle Van Noy.
He's not on the team this year, I don't think.
Oh.
You have a lot of players that are really good on paper on defense, and they just didn't perform. So they should be a better team. I think I've been winning like 11, 12 games this season. So we'll see exactly what happens. But hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.